Welcome to the newest episode of the Process of Fat Loss, where our goal is to help you understand the best way to lose fat and live a healthier life. Join us as we discuss some of the toughest and most valuable topics in health and fitness. Sleep is one of our 5 pillars of fat loss here. We have it on the big iceberg in the gym with our 5 pillars on it, and it's an extremely important part of fat loss. And as you know, we talk about here through the lens of fat loss, but sleep is also important just for general health and overall from that perspective as well. So today we're going to give you some simple actions that you can take to help improve your sleep quality by improving the environment you sleep in.
All right, guys, sleep sometimes feels like it's a taboo topic when we talk to clients. They know they should be getting more sleep, but honestly, they just don't want to do anything about it. So instead of trying to get people to sleep longer, we worry more about the quality of sleep of our clients are getting. So today we're just going to walk you through our top 5 tips to create a better sleep environment so that you can get a deeper sleep.
So the first tip is about something that a lot of people struggle with, and I know I do, and something that has become more and more of an issue relatively recently, significantly so over the past 25 years or so, and that's blue light. As technology has advanced, everything seems to have some kind of light on it, and it does have an impact on our sleep.
Yeah, so our first tip is going to be eliminate blue light in your room. So the skin actually has light receptors all over it. So most people will just think about light coming through the eyes, but every ounce of our skin actually can see light. It's a cool thing about our body, but most people don't realize it can do that. So even though your eyes are closed, your skin is still feeling the light, which causes it to not get in as deep a sleep as possible. Inside of most bedrooms, there are small blue lights all over that are like on everything. So like if you, I don't think I have a plug-in here, but on the back of your plug-in, there'd be like a little light on there that kind of tells you that your plug-in's working, right? It might not always be blue light, it might be green light, it might be red light, but technically they're all the same spectrum of light, but they're putting off a light in there. It can be the blinking light on your alarm clock. It can be the blinking light on your cell phone. It can be the numbers on your alarm clock or a light that's in your room. So it's pretty much anything that brightens the room a little bit at night. You can see a light. So when you go lay down in bed and you kind of look around, it's all the little lights that you see throughout there. So these might seem like little things and that mean nothing, but during the darkest parts of the night, your bedroom should be super dark. But your body, if it's not super dark, your body's getting these receptors and actually feeling a little bit of those lights. So what it does in a negative impact is it doesn't affect your light sleep, but it affects your deep sleep. And deep sleep is where we get the quality of sleep. So we need to make sure that we eliminate extra blue light. So the tips that we have is most alarm clocks. So I'm talking about old school alarm clocks, right? So most alarm clocks, we actually have these in our bedroom now, because we needed a way to like get the phones out of our bedroom. So you take your alarm clock and you can dim the light on it to dim it so you can barely see the light. Some of even now make it so that you don't even see the face anymore. So what this allows you to do is you still get the alarm and all that kind of stuff, but you don't see the light during the middle of the night. So that's good. Eliminate any chargers that are unneeded, or replace them with ones that don't have the little dot on them. Because like a lot of chargers will come where they have the light on it that tells you it's charging, but you can also get chargers that don't have the light on them. So just make sure that you get one that doesn't have the light or cover up the light. So then our third tip is like duct tape over any light in your room that you can't get rid of, right? So example would be like if you have a charger that you can't get rid of, you don't have another option for it, you just take duct tape and you layer it over. And I've found for a lot of those lights are so intense, you have to put like 2 or 3 layers of duct tape on top of it to actually shade out that light, which, you know, it is what it is, but it just shows you how intense that is. And the goal then from there is after you've done that, you know, that night after you've done it, you lay in bed and see how dark your room is. And then you do it again. You say, okay, is there anything else showing in this room? And you do it until your room is super dark where you don't see any excess light like that.
This next tip is about white noise, and this is a concept that's been around for a while, but it's kind of become pretty popular the past few decades, and rightfully so. It can be very beneficial. So how does white noise impact sleep quality?
Yeah, so tip number 2 is white noise. So did you know that our body actually has 4 stages of sleep? And those 4 are awake, light, deep, and REM. Our body actually cycles through these throughout the night on 3-hour cycles. We actually want to have the most of the time of our sleep will be in light. Honestly, you're not going to be the most in deep, but we want deep to be about 20. I can't remember these numbers exactly, but I think deep sleep's like 25%, REM sleep's like 25%, light sleep is like 45%, and awake sleep's like 5%, right? So it's like, but light's going to be the largest one. But we need to have certain amounts of deep and REM sleep to make sure our body fully repairs. So even though, let's say an 8-hour window and you sleep, our body can make up different percentages of that. So it might be, instead of being in deep sleep to 25% it needs to be, it might be only getting 10% of deep sleep. Even though you were asleep for 8 hours, light sleep just took over a lot more of that. We can't control REM sleep. Our body does that naturally, so we don't have to worry about that. Only deep sleep's the thing we can actually work on. So that's what we're gonna, that's where some of these things come into play. So the reason we have light sleep is a protective mechanism, so that if anything happened in nature, we can snap out of sleep real quick and protect ourselves. That's why it goes through a cycle, right? Every 3 hours it goes through a cycle, because it can't be in deep sleep for like 4 straight hours. Because if it was in deep sleep for that long, an animal could attack it. So it needs to be in deep sleep for like these short little 10-minute spurts throughout the night. So it's just a small little time. We're going to be in light sleep or awake sleep most of that time. So in today's world, we really don't have to worry about that issue. We're not going to be attacked in the middle of the night, but our body still uses those same circadian rhythms. So when there's a lot of noise happening outside, our body has trouble with that, or, outside, meaning completely outside or just outside your bedroom. And when there's noise happening, our body still has these reactive things where it's going to decrease deep sleep, knowing, okay, I'm hearing these things and I need to be in a little bit of a lighter sleep because I need to protect myself because I am hearing things going on. So if our body's consistently struggling to stay in deep sleep, we need to help it protect itself. So this is where we put white noise up. So we put some white noise as a simple thing like a fan or a white noise machine. But what these things is, it puts a barrier between your brain and the outside noises, or your ears and the outside noises. And it keeps that, like, your room itself is like its protective cave, right? And it keeps that noise inside the cave so that it makes sure that it can't hear anything on the outside of this. So quickest way to fix it, in my mind, is just have a fan in your room. If you already have a fan, just make sure it's running all the time. Even if it's not blowing on, you can blow it to the side or whatever. But the idea is it just makes enough noise, and that little bit of noise on a fan can make a world of difference in white noise. And then, there's a lot of, I'm sure, other things out there. The other thing is just a white noise machine. It's a simple little tool you can buy. You can also download it on your phone. We're going to talk about a habit where we don't have phones in the bedroom. So if you don't want to do that if you're not going to have a phone in the bedroom, but if you do have a phone in your bedroom, you can always put a white noise machine on your phone as well.
This next one makes a lot of sense when you think about it, and it's a pretty basic concept, but it seems to work really well. And I've used blackout curtains in the past and have found that they really do work. So could you talk a little bit about why they work so well?
Yeah, so our tip number 3 is dark out shades / curtains. And so, the cool thing about the tips that we're doing here is they're like one-time kind of things. Like, yes, you have to remember to turn that white noise machine on every single night, but it's not like you have to go buy a white noise machine every time, right? So this kind of cool thing about the tips is they're already things are done. And the cool part about dark out shades and curtains is once you buy them one time, they're not the most expensive thing in my mind either. I think the ones I have are like $30. But the idea is they're very simple. You buy them one time, you never have to do it again. So this one idea comes back to the skin receptors. Our body does have those skin receptors, and we want to make our room as dark as possible. The darker we keep our room, the better chance we're going to stay in that deep sleep. This again comes back to old times when we lived in caves, or we lived in the world was a lot darker back in the day. Even if you were a Native American and you're living in the prairie or something of that nature, the idea is when it goes dark, right? Once you put out the fire, it's dark. It's not like you have all these lights and stuff out and about. There's not this ambient light anymore. It's super dark. So our body's used to having a very, very dark thing. So the darker it is, the better chance the body can stay in that deep sleep. So we have to make sure that we get rid of all the light coming into the room. So dark out shades will completely eliminate outside light, which is amazing. It's not all shades are equal. You have to actually find dark out shades because a lot of shades or curtains will actually let some light through them. So that's why you got to look up when you're Googling it, look up actual dark out shades or curtains. So even if you think your blinds are pretty good, when you lay there in the dark, you'll be able to see it when you've gotten rid of all those little lights, and now you lay in the dark, you're like, wow, there's still some light coming in. When you're in our bedroom is so pitch black that I literally can't see step after step. It's just that dark. I have to feel my way around the room in the middle of the night. So dark out shades can make your room 10 times darker than it already is. And that honestly can make a world of difference on how deep a sleep you can get into. So how do we kind of fix this? It's simple. You just buy dark out shades, curtains, or blinds. So the cool part is they have them in all different styles, from curtains, blinds, and dark out shades. So you can fit your house. You don't have to just go buy a new curtain rod and stuff like that. If you already have shades, just switch your shades over to blackout shades. Pick whatever one fits easiest in your house. Most of them aren't true blackouts, so you have to be very smart when you're ordering them to make sure they are blackout and research to make sure they are. And they're not overly expensive. Again, mine were like I think $30 for the shades in our bedroom. If you get blinds are usually more expensive, but like you can look at different options on those. I do find that shades are a little bit better than blinds, but there are a lot of new blinds out there that are pretty darkening. So there's a lot of options there, but I think it's a very, very simple tool that's very inexpensive.
Tip number 4 is about temperature, which can sometimes be difficult to regulate at certain times. But is it better to be warm or cold? I know some people have specific temperatures they like sleeping at, but what is the best temperature for sleeping?
So tip number 4 is going to be sleep temperature between 62 and 67 degrees. And I probably have a lot of women that instantly like, no, like that's too cold. So we're going to talk about that. So first of all, our body drops to its lowest temperature right before sleep. Then it rises its temperature as it comes out of sleep. So our temperature, so let's say our body temperature, I don't know what it drops down to. I think it's like 90. So we're 98.6. I think it drops down to like 97.1. The body temperature, like 1 degree difference is a world of difference on the body, how the body functions. But like it's just dropped by a degree. Then it slowly warms itself back up to like 96.8 degrees or 98.6, whatever that, I'm getting my numbers confused there, but 98.6 degrees. So it gets itself back up to that number. So if the temperature of the room is cold, it helps us actually get into that deeper sleep quicker because our body has to drop down to its lowest temperature for us to fall asleep. So we need to get that lowest temperature as soon as possible. And that's why having a colder room does. It gets us that deeper, that position faster, but it also allows us to stay in that deeper sleep longer. The weird thing about it, I don't know, weird, but like the interesting thing about it is that it actually increases, but as our temperature drops, it actually increases melatonin production. And they found that between 62 to 67 degrees is the best for increasing melatonin production, which is really important for a deep sleep. Interesting fact about women is women actually need a colder temperature than men. And I don't know where this comes from. I don't have a lot of things like I didn't dig into why women needed a colder than men, but every article that I read about and researched on this said that women actually need a little bit colder than men. Women need the thermostat closer to 62 to 65 degrees, and men can go all the way up to 67 and be fine. So it might have to do with estrogen or something of that nature. But women do need a little bit colder. So it doesn't mean you can't use blankets at night. Blankets are fine. But the idea is you want to get the temperature of your body down as soon as possible. So I would say the easiest way to fix it is set your temperature between 62 and 67 degrees and just make sure that it happens every single night. If someone in your household will not go to a lighter temperature, so let's say you're a male and your wife I will not go to a colder temperature because I don't think men usually, most men are okay with sleeping colder. But like if your wife's like, I'm not going to do that, no big deal. You can always buy what's called like a chili pad, or there's a lot of these units that you can put on your bed. It's just like a little, I have it on our bed, where it's just a little machine that pumps cold water into a coil pretty much that goes on your bed, and it allows your bed to stay colder. So on Eric, we already dropped our temperature down to 65, but that's cold enough for Erica. She doesn't want to go any colder. I like it to be super cold. So then I have my bed is also set at 55 degrees. So it pulls my bed temperature down. So now my body temperature is decreasing even faster because I have this cold chili pad on my bed that keeps me even colder. So if you can't reduce the temperature in your house for many reasons, it's very simple to get. They're not overly expensive. I think my chili pad was like $150 or something of that nature. I only got it for a single bed. I didn't get it like the full bed size. I only got for like one single spot because I knew Erica wouldn't want it. But the idea is we can get our temperature down pretty good, and it does make a world of difference. Like I know when I can literally in the middle of the night know when it's 70 degrees. If I forgot to turn the temperature down, I can know when it is. I'll wake up and have to go turn it down because it does affect me that much.
And our final tip is probably going to be challenging for some people. But it's about cell phones, which is something that 99% of our listeners probably use on a regular basis.
Yeah, so tip number 5 is going to be our most controversial one. And not controversial in like it's not right or wrong. It's just people are not going to want to do it. But it's put your cell phones in airplane mode when you go to bed. We'll give some different caveats to that, but let's just go through the science of why first, okay? So EMFs are somewhat a new topic in the health world, but they're especially in the sleep industry, they're becoming a huge part of it. EMFs are technically electrical magnetic frequencies is what they are. These are created by wireless and electronic technology. Sleeping with devices such as Wi-Fi routers, mobile phones, laptops, tablets, and other electronic gadgets placed close to the bed cause extreme sleep loss. And we're trying to get more quality sleep, so we're trying to make sure that we don't create sleep loss. Apart from insomnia, EMFs are also the cause of low immunity, depression, hypertension, mood disturbances, etc. Constant exposure to EMF devices disrupt the production of melatonin, which is obviously another important hormone for sleep. EMFs are a topic for a whole different podcast. I'm not going to go deep into there's so much about EMFs, and I do think it's something that's probably worth a podcast down the road. But we're just going to kind of stick strictly to the sleep side of it, where it's just simple enough that to get rid of EMFs in your bedroom is just to turn off or put your phone into airplane mode. And what this does, it turns off the EMFs coming from the router into your bedroom, right? So most people's modem or the Wi-Fi router is not in their bedroom. So what it does is when you turn that off, it stops that Wi-Fi from coming into your bedroom. Same thing with computers. If you have laptops or something in your bedroom, you want to make sure those are turned off as well, because you don't want them pulling Wi-Fi into your bedroom. Knowing that most people use their phone for an alarm clock, by turning it to airplane mode, it can still function as an alarm clock, but you don't have to worry about the EMFs coming through. Now, a negative with that is if you turn it to airplane mode, you're not going to get any texts, you're not going to get any calls, you won't have any internet. Internet's no big deal. When you're sleeping, you shouldn't be using it. But if you have a child that's in high school to college age, so let's call it probably 15 to 20, let's just call it probably 24 years old, it's probably going to be a little bit harder for you to turn off your phone, because you probably need to be there for an emergency, because you're the case in emergency. And most people don't have landline phones in their home anymore. So realistically, it's probably hard to do that. And we do understand that. We're realistic about the idea that you might not be able to do it during that time. But that's, 6 to 8 year period of your life. But the rest of your life, you should be able to have it in airplane mode, because once your kid's off, they're living in another state, most likely you're not going to be the emergency contact anyway. So nothing you need to worry about too much there. But just make sure that we do take into awareness that. So please don't worry about that. But if your kid's in, 10th grade or younger, most likely they're not driving, they're not out late, so you can easily put your phone. They're already home when you go to bed, right? When it comes down to, I do have a tip. You could technically take that phone and put it into the other room, and you could listen to it there. Some phones also have a do not disturb setting that allows certain alerts to come through. Only thing is, I don't know if that will work. That works if it's in airplane mode, but it could. So that's one of those things to try too. I turn our phone. We don't even put our phones in our bedrooms. If I'm being honest, we got rid of that completely. That's why we got hard alarm clocks, so we don't have phones in our room in general. Because we don't need to be the first thing we do in the morning. We don't need to wake up and look at our phone, right? But the idea is EMFs can be very dangerous, and it's a small little window of time that you would need to have it on. But otherwise, that's another, let's say, live 80 years. That's 74 years of your life. You could technically have that phone in airplane mode, right? Okay, going back to the EMF idea though, is EMFs can be very dangerous. They're a new technology we're learning more and more about. I know a lot of people need more and more research about it. I get it, but it's so simple of a thing that it's just kind of hedging your bets, right? And there is a lot of in the bedroom from these, there ends up being a lot of EMF waves that can disrupt sleep, so it's worth reducing those. So how to fix it? You could easily put it in the airplane mode. You could turn your phone off completely, or you could keep your phone out of the bedroom, or just simple options that you can do to make it more realistic. And I know this is one people are going to fight us the most on. That's why we have 4 other tips. If you're like, hey, I can't do that 5th tip, so I'm not going to do any of these tips, that's unrealistic. The idea is do as many of these tips that fit into your lifestyle.
So there you guys have it, our top 5 sleep environment tips to kind of help you guys get better quality of sleep. What is your biggest takeaway for our listeners from our discussion today?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. We're not asking you to get more time in bed, which is pretty rare, because most places are you need to get 9 hours of sleep. And I just know that with our clientele, that's not a realistic ask. So we just want you to make it simple. What are the simplest things you can add to your lifestyle? Like I said, most of these things that we do, you pay for either once, or you just have to have turn your temperature down. You can just set your thermostat to naturally do it for you. You never have to think about it again, right? Turning your fan on at night is very simple. You're naturally going to probably do that anyway. So there's a lot of these things were very low intrusive to your life. You don't have to be I got to go buy supplements all the time to get a deeper sleep. We wanted to make it as simple as possible for you to just get a more restful, deep sleep consistently over time. And you'll be amazed after a couple weeks of how much better and more rested you feel by adding maybe even just 2 of these things in your lifestyle.
Yeah, so I hope you guys really enjoyed our discussion, that you can take some of these tips that we gave you and implement them. Like Trevor was just saying, it's not complex. It's just taking those little things and implementing it into your life. Remember, the best time to start living healthier is today, so make sure to take action right away. If you enjoyed our episode, please give us a review. You can do that on Spotify or Apple. That really helps people find us and get this information out, more people that can benefit from it. You can also subscribe so that make sure that you're up to date when we release new episodes, and follow us on social media as well to stay up to date on different information or announcements about our podcast. If you have any topics that you want us to talk about, you can send us an email or message us on social media, or leave a comment. We might talk about it on our podcast or address it. So definitely leave those questions that you guys have. Thanks again, and I hope you will join us for the next episode of The Process of Fat Loss.
Have a great day, guys.